Commander 31. This guy's so forgettable, most players don't even know he exists. Commander 31 represents the Pan-Asian Coalition leadership in Battlefield 2042's Ice Age setting. In a world where global cooling has forced humanity into brutal resource wars, he embodies the faceless military command structure fighting the European Union. He's essentially a placeholder character providing context for the game's Titan mode battles. His role is purely atmospheric, giving players a sense that there's someone in charge of pack forces without any actual personality or memorable characteristics. Set in 2142's Frozen Earth scenario, Commander 31 operates during humanity's desperate fight over the last habitable territories. The Pan-Asian Coalition he represents controls vast military resources, including the massive Titan airships that dominate the battlefield. By 2014, roughly half the world's population falls under PAC authority, which is firmly dominated by Russian and Chinese military interests. Their advanced technology includes plasma-based ammunition, giving their weapons distinctive blue muzzle flash and hover levitation technology, most notably in the Type 32 Nekomata main battle tank. Commander 31 represents institutional military leadership rather than personal villainy. He's more of a game mechanic than an actual character. Someone needs to be giving orders to pack forces, so he exists. His lack of personality or memorable moments makes him the least threatening villain in Battlefield history. But this next one isn't even technically a villain. Peter Miller. Peter Miller commands Tiger Tank number 237, nicknamed Stefan, in Battlefield The Feast: The Last Tiger war story during April 1945. As a Wehrmacht tank commander, he's fought across North Africa and witnessed the gradual collapse of Nazi Germany. Unlike typical Battlefield antagonists, Miller serves as the protagonist of his own story, making him more of a tragic figure caught in impossible circumstances. His character explores the moral complexity of ordinary German soldiers who weren't necessarily committed Nazis, but found themselves fighting for the regime. Throughout the campaign, Muller witnesses his fanatical gunner Schroeder's increasing extremism and brutality towards civilians. He questions Nazi ideology as he sees the war's true cost, particularly during the defense of Cologne against advancing American forces. The campaign shows his internal struggle between military duty and personal morality. His tank crew represents different attitudes toward the war, from blind fanaticism to growing doubt about their cause. By the campaign's end, Mueller chooses surrender over pointless resistance, symbolically throwing away his Iron Cross before raising his hands to American forces. His story demonstrates how war corrupts even decent people while highlighting the human cost of blind loyalty. He's barely a villain at all, more of a cautionary tale about ordinary people caught in extraordinary evil.
Tony Alpert. This separatist cult leader shows how extremism can destroy families. Tony Alpert is a separatist quasi-cult leader who leads a commune of like-minded individuals in the middle of the California desert in Battlefield Hardline. He's the father of Dune Alpert and a personal antagonist to Marcus Boone. Tony has stomped out the ideals of his hippie roots and replaced them with hate, transforming a desert commune into an anti-federalist militia operation. Tony and his daughter lived in the outskirts of the Mojave Desert in a hippie community, far away from the reach of law enforcement. Slowly, he began conducting illegal activities and began to overthrow the community's leadership before finally getting rid of all who did not meet with his ideals. His transformation from peaceful hippie to extremist leader demonstrates how ideology can corrupt communities and destroy personal relationships. Nick discovers that Alpert was behind the creation and manufacturing of the hotshot drug and murdered an ATF agent named Darius Barnes to cover up his plans of starting a civil war. Tony Alpert is described as a white supremacist and leader of the group who operates his own private compound complete with military equipment and defensive positions. When Marcus Boone began having a serious relationship with Dune, Tony proceeded to run Boomer out of town not long after finding out. He then forced Dune to wear a GPS tracker to know where she was at all times and monitored her calls. Tony's significance lies in representing domestic terrorism and the dangerous intersection of family dysfunction with political extremism. His compound serves as a base for anti-government activities, while his personal vendetta against Boomer creates the opportunity for betrayal when Stoddard places a bounty on Nick's head. But he's nothing compared to what military coups can accomplish.
Bohai. Bohai serves as a Chinese military officer operating within Admiral Chang Wei's sphere of influence during the events of Battlefield 4. While his specific role remains unclear in the broader coup conspiracy, he represents the mid-level military officials who enable Chang's rise to power through institutional support and bureaucratic cooperation. His character demonstrates how military coups require extensive networks of supporting personnel who may not be primary conspirators but facilitate the overthrow through their positions within the command structure. Bohai's presence presence suggests the depth of Chang's influence throughout the Chinese military establishment and the systematic nature of the coup attempt. His activities likely involve routine military operations that become crucial enablers for the larger conspiracy, showing how normal administrative functions can be weaponized for political purposes. Without clear documentation of his specific actions, Bohai represents the faceless bureaucracy that enables larger villains to achieve their goals through institutional manipulation. His role emphasizes how military conspiracies require broad organizational support beyond individual charismatic leaders. The character serves as a reminder that successful coups depend on converting institutional loyalty into personal allegiance through various means, including ideology, corruption, or coercion. Speaking of corruption, this next one transformed from tech genius to crime lord, Neil Rourke. Neil Rourke is a big-time crime lord centered in Los Angeles who was once an anti-piracy software developer who took his money to exploit the American people in order to build his empire. With his wealth and connections, Rourke helped orchestrate a series of high-profile bank heists across both LA and Miami, working closely with a partner known only as Big Eddie. As a result, he moved into a Hollywood mansion where he films rambling webcasts about the importance of privatization. Rourke represents the dangerous combination of technological expertise, massive wealth, and criminal ambition that enables sophisticated organized crime operations. Rourke was acquainted with Julian Dawes, who had effectively cleaned up Miami with his private police force preferred outcomes by making the police look the other way for criminals who paid him. Looking to expand his criminal empire, Dawes contacted Rourke, Henry King, and other crime lords to negotiate investment opportunities for his company. His Los Angeles base of operations demonstrates how Dawes' influence extends beyond Miami through strategic business partnerships with regional crime lords. Nick and Kai gatecrash a party at Neil Rourke's mansion in Mount Olympus, Los Angeles, where Stoddard pitches preferred outcome services to assembled criminals. Rourke's character illustrates how legitimate business success can be perverted into criminal enterprise when individuals choose profit over law. His mansion serves as a neutral meeting ground for various criminal organizations, while his webcasts provide ideological cover for privatization schemes that enable corruption. But betraying your own soldiers, that's a whole other level. Captain Quentin Cole. Captain Cole serves as a U.S. Army Special Forces officer in Battlefield 3 who becomes caught in the complex web of international conspiracy surrounding Solomon's nuclear terrorism plot. Cole's position within the military command structure makes him privy to classified information about ongoing operations against terrorist threats and Russian nuclear weapons smuggling. His character represents the institutional challenges faced by military personnel when conflicting orders and political considerations complicate clear moral choices. Cole's role in the narrative involves coordination with various intelligence agencies and international partners in efforts to prevent nuclear terrorism. His death at Blackburn's hands occurs when he attempts to protect the Russian operative Dima, creating a situation where preventing nuclear catastrophe requires eliminating a fellow soldier. Cole's character demonstrates how complex international situations can force impossible choices between following orders and preventing global catastrophe. His sacrifice highlights the personal cost of intelligence operations where individual soldiers must make life or death decisions based on incomplete information. The circumstances of his death illustrate how preventing nuclear terrorism requires cooperation with enemy operatives who possess crucial intelligence about imminent threats. Cole represents competent military leadership caught in situations where traditional command structures become inadequate for addressing unprecedented global threats. This criminal empire spans states, but wait until you see what spans continents. Clyde Blackburn. Clyde Blackburn appears to operate as a criminal figure within the broader Battlefield Hardline narrative, though his specific role and activities remain unclear from available documentation. Based on the pattern of other antagonists in the game, he likely represents regional criminal leadership involved in drug trafficking, money laundering, or other organized crime activities that connect to Julian Dawes' Miami-based network. His operations would demonstrate how criminal enterprises adapt and spread across state lines through strategic partnerships and territorial expansion. If he controls West Coast operations, his organization would manage sophisticated criminal enterprises involving drug distribution and systematic violence against competitors throughout California. Criminal figures like Blackburn typically utilize advanced logistics networks to move drugs and money across state boundaries while avoiding law enforcement detection through corruption of local officials and strategic alliances. His wealth would enable the purchase of military-grade weapons and equipment that outclass standard police resources, creating significant challenges for law enforcement. However, without verified information about his specific activities, Blackburn represents the broader category of regional criminal leaders who challenge federal law enforcement capabilities through territorial control and organizational sophistication. These faceless soldiers represent something much bigger and more terrifying. Austro-Hungarian Empire forces. The Austro-Hungarian military represents the Central Powers during World War I across the Italian front in Battlefield 1's Avanti Savoia campaign. These troops serve as primary opposition during Italian Arditi assaults on mountain fortresses throughout the Dolomites. While historically significant as representatives of a crumbling multi-ethnic empire, these forces lack individual characterization or memorable leadership figures. Their role emphasizes the grinding, industrial nature of Great War combat and the massive loss of life that characterized the conflict. These forces demonstrate the defensive capabilities of a dying empire, fighting desperately to maintain territorial integrity against overwhelming odds. Their positions in the mountainous terrain of northern Italy create significant tactical advantages that Italian forces must overcome through superior numbers and innovative assault tactics. The Austro-Hungarian military's gradual collapse mirrors the empire's broader political and economic deterioration throughout the war. Their equipment and training reflect the empire's declining resources and increasing dependence on German support. The Austro-Hungarian forces represent institutional military opposition rather than personal antagonism, creating atmospheric tension through their desperate defense of strategic positions during the empire's final collapse. Their presence demonstrates how individual soldiers become faceless components of larger political and military machines. They're dangerous not because of personal malice, but because they represent the industrial scale of modern warfare. Foreign backing makes enemies dangerous, but domestic terrorists? That's pure chaos. The Burning Flag. The Burning Flag operates as a domestic terrorist organization targeting law enforcement facilities and government buildings throughout the United States in Battlefield Hardline. This anti-government militia uses bombing campaigns, armed assaults, and propaganda to undermine public confidence in federal authority. Their attacks create widespread chaos and drain police resources while inspiring copycat organizations across the country. The group's decentralized structure makes them difficult to track and eliminate, requiring extensive coordination between federal and local law enforcement agencies. The Burning Flag's operations include coordinated attacks on federal buildings, police stations, and government officials using improvised explosive devices and military weapons acquired through illegal channels. Their propaganda campaigns utilize social media and underground networks to recruit new members and spread anti-government messaging. Intelligence analysis reveals connections to various militia groups, white supremacist organizations, and foreign entities seeking to destabilize American democracy. Their financing comes from criminal activities, illegal weapons sales, and donations from sympathetic individuals. However, their limited organizational capacity prevents them from achieving strategic objectives beyond creating temporary disruption and media attention. The Burning Flag represents the danger of domestic radicalization, but lacks the resources for sustained military operations. Their threat lies in inspiring others rather than direct capability to overthrow government institutions. Amir Kafarov. This guy's death revealed something absolutely terrifying. Amir Kafarov operates as an international arms dealer from his fortified compound near the Caspian Sea in Battlefield 3. He serves as a crucial intermediary in Solomon's nuclear weapons plot, using his extensive criminal network to facilitate the transfer of Russian suitcase bombs to terrorist organizations. His villa serves as a meeting point for various criminal and terrorist groups, making him a valuable intelligence target for both American and Russian forces. Kafarov's operations span multiple continents and involve the highest levels of international criminal enterprise. Intelligence surveillance reveals Kafarov's compound hosts meetings between PLR representatives, Russian military officials, and various international terrorist organizations. His financial records show massive transactions involving weapons purchases, including specialized equipment for nuclear devices. The villa's security includes military-grade defenses and professional mercenary guards, indicating the high-value nature of his operations. Intercepted communications reveal his direct involvement in planning terrorist attacks across multiple countries. Kafarov's death during the villa assault eliminates a key link in the nuclear conspiracy, while revealing crucial information about Solomon's plans through captured documents and computer files. His character represents the shadowy world of international weapons trafficking that enables larger terrorist operations through financial and logistical support. The intelligence gathered from his compound proves that nuclear terrorism isn't theoretical, it's actively being planned and funded. But when entire superpowers become your enemy, things get apocalyptic. Tilkichi. His interrogation revealed secrets that nearly destroyed everything. Tilkichi serves as an Ottoman Empire officer and primary antagonist in Battlefield 1's Nothing is Written war story, commanding Turkish forces defending against the Arab revolt led by T.E. Lawrence and Bedouin rebels. His character embodies the Ottoman Empire's desperate attempt to maintain control over its Middle Eastern territories during World War I, while facing both external invasion and internal rebellion. Tilkichi demonstrates tactical competence and personal courage while fighting a losing battle against insurgent forces supported by British intelligence and resources. Tilkisi's forces control key strategic positions, including the armored train Canavar, which serves as a mobile fortress terrorizing Arab rebel forces throughout the region. His interrogation by Lawrence and Zara Gufran reveals crucial information about Ottoman military communications and planned operations against the rebellion. However, his escape and subsequent recapture of rebel operative Zara nearly derails the entire mission to destroy the train and cripple Ottoman logistics. His tactical knowledge makes him personally dangerous to the Arab independence movement. Tilkisi's death at Zara's hands eliminates a significant threat to the Arab independence movement while demonstrating the personal cost of war on individual combatants. His character represents competent military leadership fighting for a doomed cause, making him simultaneously dangerous and sympathetic. The intelligence gained from his interrogation proves crucial to the mission's ultimate success. Fighting for a doomed cause is tragic, but the German war machine was something else entirely. Ottoman Empire forces. Fighting for a doomed cause is tragic, but the German war machine was something else entirely. Turkish military forces defend the crumbling Ottoman Empire during World War I across Middle Eastern theaters in multiple Battlefield 1 campaigns. These troops represent a once powerful empire struggling to maintain territorial integrity against both internal rebellion and external invasion by British and Arab forces. Ottoman forces demonstrate remarkable resilience and tactical skill despite facing overwhelming odds and declining logistical support from Constantinople. Their defense of strategic positions creates significant challenges for Allied and Arab forces throughout the region. Ottoman forces control key infrastructure, including the Canavar armored train, various fortress complexes, and strategic railway lines that connect their empire's Middle Eastern territories. Their equipment includes modern artillery, machine guns, and defensive positions that maximize their limited manpower against superior enemy numbers. The Turkish military's professional competence creates tactical challenges for Allied forces despite the empire's overall strategic weakness. Their knowledge of local terrain and climate conditions provides significant advantages over invading forces. The Ottoman military's gradual collapse mirrors the empire's broader political and economic deterioration, making their soldiers simultaneously dangerous opponents and tragic figures fighting for a doomed cause. Their resistance demonstrates how military competence can temporarily delay inevitable political collapse. These forces represent the human cost of imperial decline, where individual courage cannot overcome systemic failure. Industrial warfare was brutal, but one admiral had plans that would reshape the entire world: the German Empire forces. Kaiser Wilhelm's military represents the Central Powers during the Great War across multiple Battlefield 1 war stories, demonstrating the industrial warfare that characterized World War I. German forces appear in Through Mud and Blood, showcasing trench warfare's brutal reality, while their aerial forces in Friends in High Places represent the early development of military aviation. German troops demonstrate professional competence and technological innovation while fighting an increasingly hopeless war against overwhelming Allied resources and manpower. German defensive positions in France utilize advanced trench systems, artillery coordination, and machine gun emplacements that create killing fields requiring enormous sacrifice to overcome. Their technological innovations include poison gas, flamethrowers, and advanced aircraft that represent the cutting edge of military technology. The German military's tactical doctrine emphasizes defensive efficiency and resource conservation to compensate for strategic disadvantages. Their professional training and equipment quality make them formidable opponents despite numerical inferiority. Their role emphasizes the human cost of industrial warfare while avoiding individual characterization that might glorify or demonize either side of the conflict. German forces represent the technological and tactical innovations that transformed warfare into an industrial process of mass destruction. They demonstrate how professional military competence becomes meaningless when applied to fundamentally flawed strategic objectives. Chiang Wei. His vision of supremacy through force created a nightmare scenario. Admiral Chiang Wei serves as a high-ranking admiral of the People's Liberation Army who plotted to perform a coup d'etat against China's government in Battlefield 4. Chiang represents military hardliners who view diplomatic engagement as weakness and prefer aggressive territorial expansion to peaceful coexistence with neighboring countries. His coup threatens to destabilize the entire Asia-Pacific region by replacing moderate civilian leadership with military dictatorship committed to Chinese supremacy through force. Chiang's plan involves eliminating political rivals, suspending democratic elections, and implementing martial law while escalating territorial disputes. Chiang's forces control significant portions of China's Navy and Air Force, enabling him to challenge legitimate government authority while coordinating with Russian military advisors for strategic support. His operations include assassinating moderate political leaders, seizing control of military bases, and deploying naval forces to assert territorial claims in disputed waters throughout the South China Sea. The coup draws both American and Russian naval forces into the region, creating conditions for potential superpower conflict over vital shipping lanes. Intelligence reports reveal Chang's coordination with international arms dealers and various criminal organizations to fund his military operations. Chang's actions create a regional crisis that threatens to escalate into global conflict between nuclear-armed superpowers over control of vital economic resources and strategic waterways. His vision of Chinese supremacy through military force represents a fundamental challenge to international stability and peaceful resolution of territorial disputes. Chang transforms China from a rising economic power into an aggressive military threat to regional and global security. But personal betrayal becomes even more twisted when it involves your former partner. James Wyatt/Aguirre. James Wyatt, operating under the alias Aguirre, infiltrates and ultimately betrays Bad Company during their pursuit of the scalar weapon in Bad Company 2, revealed to be the son of Thomas Wyatt, who died during the 1944 Operation Aurora. Aguirre's betrayal stems from personal vengeance against the US military for sending his father on what he believes was a suicide mission. His infiltration of the squad demonstrates sophisticated intelligence training and psychological manipulation, gaining their complete trust before revealing his true allegiances and motivations. Aguirre's betrayal occurs at the crucial moment when he allies with Colonel Kirilenko, providing the Russian forces with detailed intelligence about American operations and tactical capabilities. His CIA training enables him to manipulate Bad Company members through careful psychological profiling and strategic relationship building. Documents reveal his extensive research into Operation Aurora and his father's death, showing years of planning for this revenge. His actions directly contribute to the scalar weapon's near-successful deployment against American civilian infrastructure. Aguirre's betrayal makes him responsible for potential catastrophic damage to civilian populations through infrastructure collapse and subsequent Russian invasion. His personal motivation transforms legitimate grievance into international terrorism that threatens millions of innocent lives. The betrayal demonstrates how personal trauma can corrupt individuals with access to classified information and advanced training. Partnership betrayal hurts, but mercenaries, they'll sell their souls for gold. Carl Stoddard. Carl Stoddard serves as a corrupt Miami police detective and former partner of protagonist Nick Mendoza in Battlefield Hardline. Stoddard's corruption extends far beyond simple bribery to active participation in drug trafficking, money laundering, and evidence tampering that enables cartel operations throughout Miami. His personal betrayal of Nick represents the destruction of trust within law enforcement partnerships and the corrosive effect of institutional corruption on individual relationships. Stoddard's willingness to frame his former partner demonstrates how corruption escalates from minor infractions to major crimes when left unchecked. Stoddard's criminal activities include planting evidence, intimidating witnesses, and coordinating with cartel representatives to ensure certain investigations never proceed to prosecution. His bank records show regular payments from Julian Dawes' preferred outcome security company in exchange for police protection and inside information. Video surveillance captures Stoddard meeting with known drug dealers and participating in evidence destruction at police facilities. His corruption spans years of partnership with Nick, meaning every case they work together becomes potentially compromised. Stoddard's death during the final confrontation eliminates a key figure in Julian Dawes' criminal network while providing Nick with personal satisfaction for years of betrayal and false imprisonment. His character demonstrates how corruption destroys not just institutional integrity, but personal relationships built on trust and shared danger. The betrayal shows how criminal influence can turn law enforcement officers into active threats to justice. Legionnaire mercenaries. These mercenaries answer to no government, which makes their leader absolutely terrifying. The Legionnaire. Mercenaries represent the most powerful private military organization in the world in Bad Company, operating independently of government oversight or international law. This mercenary force demonstrates the growing threat of privatized warfare and corporate military power in modern conflicts where profit motivation replaces political ideology. Led by the mysterious Legionnaire, the organization commands advanced weapons, vehicles, and highly trained personnel capable of challenging regular military forces through superior equipment and tactical flexibility. The mercenary organization's global reach includes operations on multiple continents with sophisticated logistics networks that enable rapid deployment and sustained operations far from traditional supply lines. Their independence from national authority makes them unpredictable opponents who operate according to profit calculations rather than political considerations. The organization's reputation attracts the world's most skilled soldiers and military contractors, creating a professional force that rivals national military mercenaries. Their advanced technology includes experimental weapons and vehicles that exceed standard military specifications. The Legionnaire mercenaries' global reach and sophisticated operations demonstrate how non-state actors can accumulate power, rivaling traditional military forces, creating new categories of international threats. Their profit-driven operations make them available to the highest bidder regardless of political consequences or humanitarian concerns. They represent the commercialization of warfare, where a military force becomes a commodity purchased by wealthy individuals or organizations. But even mercenary empires can't compare to what police corruption can become. The Legionnaire. The Legionnaire leads the world's most powerful mercenary organization in bad company, known for paying his forces in gold bars rather than conventional currency. He has built a military empire that operates outside traditional state control, creating a force that attracts the world's most skilled soldiers and military contractors. The Legionnaire's organization represents the ultimate privatization of military force, where loyalty can be purchased and redirected according to financial incentives rather than national interests. The Legionnaire's personal combat skills are demonstrated during the final helicopter battle, where he pilots his aircraft while engaging bad company forces directly in aerial combat. His organization's reputation for reliability and professional competence makes them the preferred choice for wealthy individuals and corporations requiring military services. The gold payment system creates absolute loyalty among his forces while maintaining independence from traditional banking systems that governments can monitor or control. His personal leadership style combines military professionalism with entrepreneurial business acumen. His death marks the end of a significant threat to international stability and the collapse of the most successful private military enterprise in the battlefield universe. The Legionnaire represents the danger of military force becoming a commercial commodity available to anyone with sufficient wealth. His organization's collapse demonstrates how personal leadership remains crucial even in highly professionalized military organizations. His philosophy about managing crime is absolutely chilling. Julian Dawes. Julian Dawes operates as a corrupt Miami police captain running extensive criminal enterprises through his security company, Preferred Outcomes in Battlefield Hardline. Dawes represents the ultimate corruption of law enforcement authority, using his position to facilitate drug trafficking while maintaining the appearance of legitimate police work. His philosophy involves managing criminal activity rather than eliminating it, believing that controlled crime with reduced violence serves public interest better than chaotic enforcement that creates unpredictable violence and social instability. Dawes' network extends throughout Miami's police department, creating a parallel criminal justice system that protects certain illegal activities while prosecuting others according to his business interests. His Preferred Outcomes company provides security services that enable cartel operations while eliminating competition through selective law enforcement. Financial records reveal systematic corruption involving evidence tampering, witness intimidation, and coordinated prosecutorial misconduct. His manipulation of Nick Mendoza demonstrates sophisticated psychological warfare that turns the protagonist's dedication to justice against him. Dawes' final confrontation reveals his belief that he and Nick are fundamentally similar, both operating outside legal boundaries to achieve their goals through violence and deception. His criminal philosophy represents the complete inversion of law enforcement principles, where police become active participants in organized crime. Dawes transforms law enforcement from a protective institution into a criminal enterprise that preys on the communities it's supposed to serve, but turning a terrorist group into a nuclear power that changes everything. Farouk al-Bashir. Farouk al-Bashir leads the People's Liberation and Resistance terrorist organization and stages a successful coup in Iran during Battlefield 3. Al-Bashir transforms a regional insurgent group into a state-level threat by overthrowing Iran's government and gaining control of military resources, including nuclear facilities. His alliance with Solomon provides access to Russian nuclear weapons, enabling terrorist attacks on a global scale that fundamentally change the nature of international terrorism. Al-Bashir represents the evolution of terrorism from isolated attacks to state-sponsored nuclear warfare. Al-Bashir's forces successfully capture major Iranian cities, military bases, and government facilities while eliminating moderate political leadership that opposed extremist ideology. His execution of captured American soldiers, filmed and broadcast internationally, demonstrates his willingness to use extreme propaganda methods to achieve political objectives and intimidate Western governments. Intelligence reports reveal coordination between the PLR and various international terrorist organizations, suggesting a global network network supporting his operations. His control of Iranian nuclear facilities provides access to weapons-grade materials and delivery systems. Al-Bashir's death reveals crucial intelligence about Solomon's nuclear plot, but only after successful detonation in Paris proves the reality of the threat to Western civilization. His character demonstrates how terrorist organizations can evolve from regional insurgencies into global threats when they gain state-level resources and international support. The PLR's success under his leadership proves that nuclear terrorism isn't theoretical, it's an active and successful strategy. They proved terrorists could get nukes, but this Russian colonel wanted to disable an entire country. People's Liberation and Resistance. The PLR represents an Iranian paramilitary organization that evolves from regional insurgency to state-controlling terrorist network under al-Bashir's leadership in Battlefield 3. The organization successfully stages a coup against Iran's government, transforming from underground movement to ruling authority with access to military resources and nuclear facilities. Their acquisition of Russian nuclear weapons represents unprecedented escalation in terrorist capabilities, moving beyond conventional attacks to weapons of mass destruction that threaten entire civilizations. The PLR's operations span multiple countries and involve sophisticated coordination between various terrorist cells, criminal organizations, and state sponsors providing logistical support. Their success in Iran provides access to oil revenues, military equipment, and nuclear technology that enables global operations previously impossible for non-state actors. Intelligence analysis reveals extensive training facilities, weapons manufacturing capabilities, and recruitment networks that operate across international boundaries. Their coordination with Solomon demonstrates how terrorist organizations can partner with rogue intelligence operatives to achieve strategic objectives. Their success in detonating a nuclear weapon in Paris, killing 80,000 people, demonstrates the catastrophic potential of well-organized terrorist networks with state-level resources and international support systems. The PLR proves that terrorist organizations can achieve strategic objectives previously reserved for nation-states when they gain territorial control and nuclear capabilities. Their transformation from insurgency to nuclear power represents a fundamental shift in global security threats. His weapon could cripple America's infrastructure, but the number one villain did something even worse. Arkady Kirilenko. Russian colonel and scientist Arkady Kirilenko develops a scalar weapon capable of disabling America's electrical grid before a full-scale invasion in bad company. 2. Kirilenko represents Russian military ambitions to achieve strategic superiority through technological innovation rather than conventional military expansion that would result in massive casualties on both sides. His scalar weapon project threatens to fundamentally alter the global balance of power by rendering American infrastructure defenseless against invasion while minimizing direct military confrontation. Kirilenko's scalar weapon technology can disable electrical systems across entire regions, effectively paralyzing civilian infrastructure including hospitals, transportation networks, and communication systems. His plan involves coordinated deployment of multiple scalar devices to create a nationwide blackout that would cripple American defensive capabilities before Russian invasion forces arrive. The weapon's development requires extensive resources and scientific expertise, indicating state-level backing for the project. Intelligence reveals coordination with various criminal organizations and terrorist groups to facilitate weapon deployment. Kirilenko's willingness to sacrifice countless civilian lives through infrastructure collapse demonstrates his prioritization of national victory over humanitarian concerns and international law. His death during Bad Company's assault eliminates the immediate scalar weapon threat, but occurs too late to prevent the Russian invasion force from deploying, creating a conventional war scenario. The scalar weapon represents a new category of warfare that blurs the line between military and civilian targets. Solomon. Solomon operates as a former CIA operative turned international terrorist mastermind in Battlefield 3, representing the ultimate insider threat with extensive knowledge of American security procedures, international criminal networks, and terrorist organization structures. His background in intelligence operations provides him with unique capabilities for manipulating multiple factions and orchestrating complex plots that exploit systemic vulnerabilities in global security systems. Solomon's complex plot involves manipulating the PLR, various arms dealers, and corrupt officials to orchestrate nuclear terrorism designed to trigger World War III between America and Russia. Solomon's successful detonation of a nuclear weapon in Paris, killing 80,000 people, marks the most devastating terrorist attack in battlefield history and proves his capability to execute strategic-level operations. His near success in destroying New York City demonstrates sophisticated planning and execution capabilities that nearly achieve his ultimate goal of global conflict between superpowers. Intelligence analysis reveals his coordination with multiple terrorist organizations, arms dealers, and corrupt government officials across several countries. His CIA background provides access to classified information and operational techniques that enable unprecedented terrorist capabilities. Solomon's death prevents further nuclear attacks, but only after proving that determined individuals with intelligence backgrounds can threaten civilization itself through strategic manipulation and nuclear terrorism. His character represents the existential threat posed by rogue intelligence operatives who possess both the knowledge and motivation to destabilize global civilization. Solomon demonstrates how insider threats can achieve strategic objectives that exceed the capabilities of traditional terrorist organizations or hostile nation states.